Hello, I'm Tom Wicknick. Welcome to the KZGN News.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
I hope everyone enjoyed the special news version we had last evening. We want to thank Assemblywoman Shannon Grove for joining Al and Robert for their interview. And in other special information, you need to stay tuned for my Talking Points editorial coming up in a few minutes. Last week's topic was back and forth discussions between the people and the new city council is slipping away. We had tons of Facebook comment about it. We'll cover that later. Now on to the news. In city council news, the next regular council meeting is coming this Wednesday, April 1st at 6 p.m. On this week's agenda is a number of items. But the main item on this agenda will be the council getting another and last briefing from the Lorelei Oviatt of the Kern County Director of the Kern County Planning and Community Development Department. She will once again provide a public workshop for the Indian Wells Valley Land Use Management Plan. Workshops have been previously provided to the public on February 17th and on March 7th, and is being presented again for further discussions and questions from the public and City Council. This will be your last opportunity to address the City Council about this county plan. The county plan includes 3 recommendations to slow down the overdraft of our groundwater in the Indian Wells Valley. It is noted that none of the recommendations stops or reverses the overdraft. At the end of the meeting, the City Council is expected to take a formal position on the city's support or no support of the plan. They may even offer another recommendation for consideration by the County Board of Supervisors. Either way, this is your last chance to discuss with the City Council and possibly influence the position they take. I know they want to hear from as many people as possible before taking a position. So plan on attending the meeting this Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. at City Hall. Electronic copies of the document can be made available by contacting the Kern County Planning and Community Development Department. If you have any questions or would like to request an electronic copy of the document, please contact Ross Fairman at 661-862-5017. In other agenda items, they'll start with a number of proclamations. First, National Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Then National Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month. Third, Week of the Young Child. Fourth, honoring Ridgecrest citizens Bill and Marilyn Porter. And finally, a presentation of Green Business Awards from waste management to local businesses successfully participating in the recycling program. On the consent calendar, they'll consider adopting a resolution approving the program supplement agreement with the State of California Department of Transportation under a master agreement for the South China Lake Boulevard project from Bowman Road to College Heights Boulevard. Next, they'll adopt a resolution approving the use of public transportation modernization improvement and service enhancement account funds in the amount of $6,000 to purchase an access control system and computer tablets for the City of Ridgecrest Transit Division. Then adopt a resolution approving the use of, again, public transportation modernization improvement and service enhancement accounting funds in the amount of $193,000 to purchase buses for the City of Ridgecrest Transit Division. Then they'll adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest authorizing the application for federal funds under the Federal Transit Act with the California Department of Transportation and authorize the City Manager, Dennis Spear, to sign and file the application. Then adopt a resolution authorizing the City Manager to sign the Notice of Completion for the Civic Center lighting project. In open discussion items, the Council will consider having staff prepare and the Mayor to sign a letter of support of the recent proposal submitted by TerraGen Power, LLC, to be considered in the 2015-2016 transmission planning process to the Board of Governors. Then they'll discuss an approval of establishing a broadband action team presented by Justin O'Neill. Next, they'll consider approval of a quality of life cooperative. And finally, they'll get a budget strategy overview from City Manager Dennis Spear. Stay tuned for KZGN Talking Points when we return. Welcome back. Now it's time for the 30-second KZGN News Talking Points editorial. The topic of today's editorial is continued discussion of communications with the Council. But first, Let's cover all the comments received on last Tuesday's editorial. The topic was back and forth discussions between the people, and the new council is now slipping away. All I can say is, wow. I want to start this by saying that one of the comments received was right from Mayor Breeden, and Mayor Breeden quickly acknowledged the point of my editorial, while others wanted to go a whole different direction with it, discussing the content of a person's comments, which inspired very rough discussion. My editorial was about the process, and it had nothing to do with the actual person's comments, but some wanted to not discuss the process, but the comments. Here is Mayor Breeden's response as to the actual topic of my editorial. My apology to all. I will do my level best not to respond like that again. After the discussions, decisions, and positions, and after listening to all, if you agree or disagree, please let us know. My apology. It is done and over for me. Thank you all for listening. Those were Mayor Breeden's comments about the actual topic. I want to thank her for the response, and I do believe she will do what she has promised. And as an olive branch to the council, I want to acknowledge that I do know what it's like to sit up there and have someone say something that gets under your skin. I've been there. And it happened many times to me too. I too made the mistake I'm now taking you to task on. The reason is because when I was on the council and did exactly what I'm editorializing about now, I was reprimanded by members of the public for doing it and not providing an open back and forth discussion. They criticized me for not giving them the opportunity to answer my comments. I realized they were right. If I had a comment that was going to be directed to them, then I should do it when they have the opportunity to discuss, not after they were sitting down and public comment was closed. Now let's move on to the responses to the editorial that were pertaining to the actual topic, the process. Ray asked more than once, will KZGN broadcast viewers' responses to editorials? Well, Ray, I have always been covering responses to our stories and editorials. Good or bad, I include them. Note, I am going to share responses that were only about the topic. I will not provide any personal attack comments. The problem was that I defended a citizen's right to speak their mind at a council meeting and encouraged the council to respond to the person when they're at the podium so a meaningful back and forth discussion could be accomplished. What happened was that some people wanted to take the discussion to the subject of the comments made at that particular council meeting. I thought I made it real clear in my editorial. My comments were directed at the process, not the actual comments. I think in the editorial I said it at least 3 or 4 times. My comments are about the process, not the subject of the comments made by people. Now, here are our comments. Note, comments were very long by many, so I'm only going to include relevant comments to the topic. Skip said, Tom, I for one may not be interested in engaging some loudmouth bomb thrower in a conversation from the dais. And Skip was adamant that he felt it was okay for the council to not engage certain people at the podium because of what they say. Sharon said, the First Amendment does not give members of the public a free pass to be disruptive or prevent the conduct of business during a council meeting. The behavior in the council meeting goes both ways. If members of the public expect respect and cooperation, then they need to also be mindful of their behavior. Robert provided the following. When a member of the public testifies before legislative bodies, the body may not prohibit the individual from criticizing the policies, procedures, programs, or services of the agency, or the acts or omissions of the legislative body. Sharon responded, the public participation in meetings is, in addition to requiring the public's business to be conducted in open, notice meetings, the Brown Act also extends to the public the right to participate in meetings. Individuals, lobbyists, and members of the news media possess the right to attend, record, broadcast, and participate in public meetings. Robert responded, completely agree, Sharon. My point was that the business of the council is the public's business. We have had time rules and topics rules for a long time. It is up to the council to enforce these rules. Dan wrote, it is clear that some members of the council, rather than engage the person they disagree with openly, they wait until it's a protected time and no public response is possible. Robert added, first of all, Skip, I do not represent Tom nor KZGN when I make comments to the council. I am speaking for myself just as you might do. Skip wrote back, Robert, I have refrained from speaking at the podium since being given a public venue by the DI from which I offer my opinion. It is respecting the extent to which folks could easily infer my opinions are perhaps also those of the DI. No problem. When I have something to say, I'll write it. Sharon added, when a citizen decides to use the public meetings of the City Council as their own bully pulpit, then they have to accept the fact that the Council may make comments later in the meeting or even at another meeting that addresses the individual's comments. Ethan responded, I would disagree with that theory. Ray said, I agree with you, Sharon. Ethan then said, it is our right and our duty to question our elected leaders. Yes, it is the right of the citizens to have an opportunity to speak at public meetings. It is also not the right of the citizens to hijack public meetings, try to move the meeting discussion off the items on the agenda, or to demand equal time at the meetings. Then Shannon provided the following. Most of those speaking at the public comment are respectful and ask good questions. I do not see most of them being disruptive. In fact, most ask very good questions and are very polite. Then Ked said, that is of course true, but then there are the obnoxious blowhards who fall outside the most category and get all the attention. Even for people who might agree with them, it can be difficult sometimes to get past the messenger. Then Ray added, Kenneth, that is so true. I even remember a former mayor from many years ago who, after becoming a regular citizen, yelled at the council during one meeting. His arrogance was out there for all to see. And the last comment received prior to writing the script was from Ethan. However, the fact that this is the United States of America where protesting perceived government overreach is inherently in our blood, I will continue to support and cherish a citizen's right to object in the face of perceived tyranny. Now, before you jump all over me, it is important to note that I am not necessarily supporting the content of his speech, but I am supporting his right to address his elected representatives in the harshest tone he feels necessary to get his point across. Well, that's all the time we have for reaction comments about the editorial. It did inspire some good discussion. I have to say that I just tried and pull the most of the meat of the comments, as most were very long and lengthy. Most were comments I could agree with. Again, I want this real clear. What I shared today were comments that addressed the topic of my editorial, not the subject matter of comments from a person at a council meeting. Now today's editorial topic, continued discussion of communications with the council. All I care to add is that communication is defined as someone speaking and someone listening. This is fair communication. It should be respectful and pertaining to the topic at hand. No one should be subjected to verbal abuse, whether it is as a result of their elected office or being a member of the public. Like I said last week, many times the person's comments are misunderstood by the council and the member of the public discussing together at the same time. A better understanding is logical. I want to thank everyone that participated in the KZGN News discussion item on Facebook. If you would like to get involved, go to our Facebook site and sign up. My wife Shannon is the site administrator and makes sure all comments are on subject and polite. No profanity or personal attacks or defaming comments are permitted. As former Mayor Clark always said, be hard on the issues, but respectful of the person. In conclusion, I believe Mayor Breeden has put the issue to bed. She said that she would work very hard to make sure that dialogue between the council and the public is conducive to a good discussion of the topic. That's good enough for me. I'm Tom Wicknick, and that's what I think. If you have any comments about this editorial or would like to discuss or recommend a topic, I'd like to hear from you. Please email them to info@kzgn.net. Stay with us for sports and weather when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. Now let's go to Keith for the weather.
Thank you, Tom, and good evening, IWV. Regionally, warmer temperatures across the nation, except the east and west coast. Not pictured here, unfortunately. We didn't get a screen capture. There is a risk of severe thunderstorms Tuesday afternoon and evening from Texas across the southeast to the Atlantic coast. The area at greatest risks are from northern Texas and southern Oklahoma across Arkansas and into northern Mississippi and central Alabama. Large hail and damaging winds will be the main threats. For us locally, we have a wind advisory in effect until 11 p.m. tonight. Areas of blowing dust, mostly clear though, with a low around 48, breezy with a west wind 15 to 25 miles per hour. Wind gusts could get as high as 40 miles per hour. And on Wednesday, April Fool's by the way, it will be sunny with a high near 80, west-southwest wind, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wednesday night will be partly cloudy with a low around 45, breezy with the southwest wind, 15 to 25 miles per hour. Gusts can get as high as 30. Thursday will be sunny with a high near 74, west wind 15 miles per hour, wind gusts high as 20. Thursday night will be clear with a low around 45, northeast wind around 10 miles per hour. Friday will be sunny with a high near 76, northeast wind 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 20. And Friday night will be mostly clear with a low around 45, east-southeast wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. And that is your local forecast as we move towards the Easter weekend. Have a pleasant night, everybody, and back to Tom.
Thanks, Keith. Now to go to Tom Heck with the sports.
And a very pleasant Tuesday afternoon to everybody. Let's start with a local sports note. Junior college baseball today. Saracoso travels to the College of the Desert in Palm Desert. Same two teams play Thursday. That game here at 2:30. That'll be broadcast locally on 1360 AM KWDJ. And then again on Saturday, the two teams travel back to Palm Desert. Long week for travel for Saracoso. That game also on radio starting at noon on 1360 AM and also along the line on SaracosoBaseball.club. All right, both boroughs, baseball and softball, back in action. Midweek, they're about a week and a half away from starting Mojave River League play, their first year in the Mojave River League. And John Bradley's team off to a 6-2 start. Michelle Lazzaro's team also playing over 500 right now. And then Anthony Barnes and his track team will be in action against Sultana, and that'll be on Wednesday over at Saracoso College. All right, Emmanuel Christian wins their softball game today against Lee Vining. Emmanuel Christian off to a pretty good start also in the High-Low League. This year, the High-Low League, just about all the teams have softball teams. The High-Low League made up of the smaller schools, including Trona High School, Big Pine, and Lee Vining, along with Baker High School. Okay, college basketball. Chris Mullen, the former St. John star, he now has been basically an advisor in the NBA for the Kings. He was named today to be the 20th head coach ever at St. John's University, the very prestigious St. John's University. Mullen played for former Hall of Famer Lou Carnesecca. I remember Mullen very well. Left-handed, good shot, about 6'6", great hops, and a very good defensive player. Steve Lavin, the former UCLA coach who went to ESPN to be an analyst and then jumped back to St. John's, was let go after 5 years. Steve Lavin in the running, though, for the Arizona State job, which opened up last week. All right, Mullen basically also the all-time leading scorer at St. John's. He was in the NBA for 16 years, played mainly with Golden State, also played with the Knicks. He was a 1992 gold medal Dream Team honoree, and lately, as I mentioned, he has been an advisor for the NBA Sacramento Kings. He helped get George Karl, their new coach, there in place several months ago. All right, in the Final Four, times have been put out for everyone to see. 3:09 p.m. tip-off. That's local time on the Pacific Coast. Michigan State and Duke. Look for Duke to win that game. Will be very close, though. And then at 6:50 p.m., 10-7 on Saturday night, Wisconsin and Kentucky. Wisconsin's good, but I just don't think they have the athleticism to match up with Kentucky, nor do they have the size to match up with Kentucky. But if Wisconsin's shooting real well, they can too be a very big problem themselves. All right, in the NBA, yesterday the Clippers looked great. They demolished Boston. Boston comes back today to beat Charlotte 116-104. The Clippers now are 49-25. Season starting to run short on games. The about 3.5-4 weeks left of the NBA season, then the playoffs, which I think is the most exciting time of the year in the NBA anyway. Memphis a winner tonight. They beat Sacramento. Utah beats Minnesota. Atlanta beats Milwaukee. And the Lakers had a big win on Monday night. They beat Philadelphia 113-111 in overtime. The Lakers now 20-53. What that means also is they're not going to get probably one of the first two-round top draft picks. They're going to end up probably number 3, which will get them a good pick, but not as good as 1 or 2. Well, that's your sports for this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. All of us at KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We all thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only community TV station.